If outlaws don't murder you, you got your Utes, Paiute, Shoshone, Grizzlies, Wolves, riled up Mormons.
Our kingdom of God holds strong. It will cleanse and purify the world from wickedness.
I am Joe Layton from Cowboys and Indians magazine. And good afternoon, gentlemen.
Joe, how are you?
How's it going? And I guess the first question to ask is, I know the two of you have had some experience with Westerns. I mean, hell, Dane, you played Billy the Kid, but did you have to go to some kind of cowboy camp to prepare for this series?
Dane, he's asking you. Dane,
did.
Joe's asking you, Dane.
We did.
Go.
We did go to something called Cowboy Camp, but it didn't take long for me to realize that Cowboy Camp is what they call horseback riding lessons for actors to get them excited about learning to ride a horse for a month. Look, our stunt team, don't get me wrong, was amazing. They were incredible. The wranglers of our horses were second to none. The horses themselves were incredible. And we just had to show up and figure out how not to fall off of those things. And we had a big team of people behind us. It's ironic to me to call it Cowboy Camp because it's horseback riding lessons for dummies. They call it Cowboy Camp so actors will be excited and their egos won't be hurt, I think.
And Joe, it's good to talk to you again. I got to tell you, my horse, as Dane was talking about, I actually had two. Phoenix was my main kind of guy, but Phoenix kind of got really carried away when it was time to canter and to gallop. So I was put on his brother called Talon. They were both black. They were both stunning, 17 hands high. And so I had a couple, Phoenix and Talon, and I learned to love them both. But yeah, Cowboy Camp, Dane's right. It's just a loose term for a bunch of guys trying not to fall off their horses before they actually start filming.
Tim, did you worry about remaining true to your historical character, or were you afraid of getting maybe some pushback from Mormons?
I think that's part of the deal, Joe. When you are writing about part of the story being Brigham Young and the Mormon community, and you're going to actually play Brigham Young and the Mormon community, and you're doing a story that actually happened in 1857 in a world that was actually existing. You trust Netflix, Peter Berg, Mark Smith, the writer, and then my preparation, because then you're all in, right? You're all in. And I read the script. I knew that there's going to be some questions about what did he know, what didn't he know, or what was he in charge of, what wasn't he in charge of. But everyone, let's get this straight. Brigham Young was a prophet. He was like God. He talked to his people like they were his flock. But to survive in those times, to bring the entire Mormon congregation from Missouri over the hills, the mountains into Salt Lake City, and to pronounce this is the place, to know that this is where God wanted them and his people to be. Some of that comes across in what we were filming, and so I was really happy to portray those moments. But we'll let people make up their own minds as to how I did in the portrayal of Brigham Young in January when they see this thing. But I'm very happy that Peter asked me to the party.
Now, Dane, what was the toughest nut for you to crack with your character? It's a fictional character, but you're a really loyal follower to Brigham Young, are you not?
My character is a very devout Mormon for sure. Absolutely. He's willing to risk everything to make it to Salt Lake City, Utah. He believes in, Mormonism, and is a full-on enthusiastic Mormon. Yeah. And I think, he goes through so much in the show. There's a massacre on his people. He loses his wife. He survives a scalping. And so he's in this effort to avenge the massacre on his people, to try to find his wife who he's convinced alive. His Mormonism, I think, really becomes the key to his journey and to why he doesn't give up, why he doesn't just call it quits, just lay down and die, because he believes he was chosen to be there. He believes, he has faith that he'll make it to Utah. He has faith that his wife is alive. And so, you know, a lot of this show was a very solitary experience to me until I realized, oh, you know, Jacob's not alone in this show. He's actually constantly in conversation with God. You know, God is what keeps him alive. It's what drives him forward. God is always there watching over him, and he can always, you know, it's his conversation with God and his faith that propels him through this show. And I think that that was the key to the character for me. That's what keeps it hopeful, what keeps him optimistic, despite going through severe head trauma psychosis.
Kim, this is a question I usually ask of people who play Jesus, because whether you're a believer or not, you have to concede this must have been one of the most charismatic people to ever walk the face of the earth, to attract that large of a loyal following. How did you figure out how to project that sort of charisma?
I just believed in my process. I didn't act. There was no acting, Joe. It was once I as Kim Coates did the reading and the research, and then started wearing the clothes and wearing the top hat and how his hair was, and how he was with women back then, how he was with certain men back then, how he was with God back then. Every scene that I play as Brigham Young is different, and it grows. The story grows and grows. So I just didn't want to act. I just wanted to be. I wanted to just be this guy. There was no acting. There was no oh touching the kid's head and go. You know, it was all feeling, and God would save the Mormons, myself, and his flock. And I really I don't know. I just took the script and in discussion with Peter and Shea Wiggum, which is most of my stuff is with that Bridger, that Fort Bridger. How amazing was that, Joe? I mean, it was all to scale. Everything was to scale. It was all exactly the way it was in 1857, and to be a part of that set was special every day.
Dane, what for you was maybe the toughest scene in the entire limited season to do? I mean, what was the scene, like you saw on the call sheet and went, oh, we're doing that one tomorrow. I guess I can't call in sick, so
Um, well, I would never call in sick. First of all, I would always show up ready to go. And I welcome a challenge. So I just like to say that. But you know, the first scene I shot of this series was one of my last scenes in episode 6. When I'm like sitting on a mountain and I've gone through everything, like just everything. And we shot all the episodes at once. It was by location. So my first day on set was after my character had already gone through all of this horrific stuff. And that was, I mean, maybe, I don't know if I've ever done anything where I've shot like the last scene first before, but for this one and the amount that I go through, like it took a lot to make sure that I was there, you know?
well, Kim, I'll ask you the same question. I mean, which was the scene, when you saw it on the call sheet, you went, oh gosh, well, maybe I should get that job with my brother-in-law's dry cleaning store.
No, there was nothing like that, Joe. I will say though, there was a scene where you meet Brigham Young for the first time at Fort Bridger. And it was a scene where Peter and Shay and I had discussed where I need to be like a fish coming upstream through my Mormon, legion of boys and come up and be there at the right time when he goes, oh, you brought the big guns, meaning Brigham Young is showing up. So that was when you're dealing with animals, timing, making sure it's kind of right. Because Peter Berg, man, let's go. We have this. Let's go. Let's do it again. Great. And so I was hoping that Phoenix would be up to being able to hit his mark, and he was. So, but nothing nothing internally. I had nothing like Dane had to go through physically and all that. It was all mental with Brigham Young and making a deal and buying that fort and taking care of his people. So it was a much more calmer inside my head every day than intense, really.
When you're doing a very emotional role like this, a role where you've got to take risks and expose yourself, you've got to trust your director, I think, a lot. He's going to be there with the net while you're on the tightrope. How does Peter Berg inspire trust?
Yeah, Pete, he gives you no choice but to like go all in. He may be a net under the tightrope, but he's also got like he's also up on the tightrope, like kind of pushing you and seeing if you're gonna fall. Like bringing in wind machines and like trying to blow you off and saying like, "Are you gonna stay on this thing? Because I may, if you fall, I may pull this net out from under you." I mean, it's like he really pushed me to the limit, and I did trust him based on his previous work that he knew what he was doing. But it was a wild journey, man. It really was, and like every day was different. I didn't know what to expect on set or from Pete or anything. So I trusted him as an artist, knowing his past work, and to go on this journey with him. But it wasn't like a coddling experience. It was intense, and he pushed me to my limits.
Kim, how did Peter?
Yeah, no, I remember one shot where we had a steady cam and it was on me and I had quite a piece to say and we started at the door and then we had to go down some steps and then through a couple of people to my horse. And there's no cutaway. There's no cutaway. It's just one shot. It's a steady cam. I was getting very like religious at that point to Shea Wing, who played Jim Bridger. And I stumbled on line, or I said, fuck. I want another, and Peter just kept going, "Are you gonna get it? Are you gonna get it? Come on, Governor, Governor, where is it? Where is it?" And I would go, "It's right here, Pete. It's right here. Give me another one. I'll do another one." And it was that kind of stuff. There was no like, "Oh, okay, no." I was like, "Where is it? What's going on? You're Brigham Young. You don't screw, So, but we massive respect for that guy, and I can't wait to work with him again.
Do you see this being a time for a renaissance for the Western? And if so, why?
Well, I don't know what Dane's going to say, but I will say that we go through these junctures, don't we, Joe? We go through the gangsters, we go through the westerns, we go through the comedies. We do go through on Game of Thrones. Let's do something just like that over and over and over, right? I think, the whole Western thing, even though I don't really know if this is really, in my opinion, Joe, a Western, I really think it's something different as Kane said earlier, the Wild Wild West. That's true. But I don't know if it's a renaissance. I don't know if we've ever left the West in cinema. I think sometimes it comes and goes, Joe, but we're in it now. We're in it. We're in it now. So we'll just see where this continues to go.
Um, I mean, look, I think obviously what like Taylor Sheridan has done with his whole like universe is very like Western centric. It's coming back to TV. I think you see cowboy culture emerging and like fashion with like what Pharrell is doing at Louis Vuitton. I think you're seeing a crossover of like country and rap music or R&B and soul. It's all kind of coming together for sure. And I think in a way American Primeval rides that wave. But I think comparing like American Primeval to Yellowstone, I like to say that American Primeval is like Yellowstone if you doused it in gasoline and set it on fire.
Good call. Good
Joe,
call.
you okay? Joe, you all right? You choking? You okay, Joe?
I'm laughing, and they're telling me it's
Don't go
time
there,
for me to
Joe.
wrap. So I don't want to laugh too much before I say thank you both, and I wish you the success you really deserve with this series.
Thanks, Joe. Good seeing you, buddy.
Take care now.
Peace is now the great shrinking minority. So very few in these lands possess compassion. And basic tenderness has hardened. And is now, and I fear forever, greatly diminished. I am overcome at this time by deep pain from a tremendous and always present lack of love. So few left in these lands know of grace. There's only brutality here.